Hello everyone and welcome to yet another live coding and chill. It's another Friday that we're making it here to code together or to semi-code and code alongside or to just hear my voice and have my pleasant baritone tunes that are slightly hindered by bracers but are getting better. Keep you company. I hope you're having a lovely Friday. Already it's the 5th in a row that we've done this. So we're on a great run. We're gonna keep going, and we're gonna keep going specifically with the Emoji of the Week app that we've been building. This is an app that was going on for quite a while. I created 3 years ago, maybe 4, and suddenly, even though it was tweeting every day a new emoji that it had picked for us, it stopped working before Christmas. And I figured this is the time to remake it. Let's redo it in SvelteKit with all the good stuff. SvelteKit is no longer hipster stack because it's made stable, as you may know. And why not add some generative AI while we're at it as well? Wouldn't that be cool? So this is live. If you go to emoji-off.com, you'll see that this app every day picks a different emoji and then asks maybe different character to have a comment about it. How would the emoji of the day inspire that character? So today we happen to get the check flag, which makes sense because a lot of the emojis are flags. So it could be a feature in the future where we just don't use flags or have a separate category, so you pick one per category or something like that, because it's always nice to highlight one country, but maybe that's not exactly what you want if you want to use this app to inspire your photography or your filmmaking or whatever else, because maybe it's not reasonable to travel in Europe or whatever you want to do in the day just to take a picture, but maybe that will inspire you to do something else, like pick the food of that country, the most famous dish created, and take a picture of that. Anyway, I digress. The fun thing from last week is that we integrated with OpenAI and ChatGPT version 3.5 Turbo is the one that anyone can use. You can go and use it as well, but it's not the latest one that you would be able to go to the ChatGPT chat thingy to try out. This is using version 4. But if we keep doing like cool stuff with this, maybe they'll invite us. Maybe they'll invite me and by proxy you, and we'll get to use it one of these days. In any case, the API should be the same. It doesn't really matter. It's just that the text may be better as that project keeps expanding and learning. In any case, this is live. Today we asked Locke from Final Fantasy VI, one of my very early favorite games. I think it's the reason I learned English, is to be able to play this game on my own without my dad translating everything to me in Greek. And we're talking many years ago. So I added this character, and he's got a comment about the emoji of the day, which was quite cool. We've gotten Joker from a chat suggestion the other week, and we'll eventually add routing so you can see past emojis as well, and you don't have to just get in here or you lose the emoji of the day. It's kind of like Wordle though. Maybe there is some value in you have to visit this app every day. I don't know, we'll see. And this connects, of course, this real deployed app connects to a real deployed database, which is not the one I'm running locally. Thanks to the Supabase CLI and Docker, I have a separate version of that database that I can more freely switch around and play with schema design, for example, without worrying that I'm going to break production. So for today, my local app has picked another flag, Paraguay, and it's asking Tali from Mass Effect about this, and it has a really good response, really. She's pretending that she's not familiar with the human emojis and flags, but she does understand quite a lot about Paraguay, and says the importance of respecting and learning from different cultures, which I 100% agree. I'm a Tali fan, common Tali W, I would say, common Tali dub in this comment here. It's in this app that we'll be working on today. I will be adding one more route to ask for advice about the emoji of the day. The idea is that, alright, you visit this app, you have the smiling emoji or whatever else, and you want to use this for your photography or your filmmaking or whatever, but you want to take it a bit further. So you don't want to just hear any random character say something about the emoji in general. Maybe you want to specifically ask Tali from Mass Effect or Joker from Batman or whoever else, how would you make a picture with the theme being Paraguay? What would you do? How would you make a video game? So I'm thinking a new route where we give the user those options to ask our little cast of characters how they could go about fulfilling this project or challenge. That's what I'm thinking. As always, I'm keen on your feedback on where the direction of the day should go, and direction of the week, what we'll be covering next week. Always, I read every comment, and it very, very often affects what I'm actually gonna do. Inspiration strikes when I read a passionate comment about something, or especially some cool new tech that I haven't really played around with or don't even know about, and then the next stream is gonna be all about this. But this is very inspiring, I would say. We'll do the same thing that we've done in quite a few streams. We'll create a new route using SvelteKit. We'll create a new form and make it submit even without JavaScript using SvelteKit form actions. And then on the backend, we're going to talk to another API, and specifically the OpenAI API, because OpenAI is the company behind ChatGPT, which we're using. And if it's getting a bit too familiar, then that's great, because that's what you do as an engineer. All you need to do is create some routes, create some forms, have those forms submit nicely, and hit some backend somewhere else, hit another API, make it integrate, make it work well with you. And that's the job. That's what you'll be doing from sprint to sprint. For my more general thoughts on ChatGPT, because people have asked for this. I think lots of people have been on record at this point on what does ChatGPT mean and generative AI. There is a lot of debate. There is some ethics issue, especially when it comes to generative art, because who gets attributed what is a huge issue that I'm not going to solve today. These models can be trained on real content, art, journals, books that real people have created. So should those artists be contributed to? I don't know. We always build on the shoulders of giants, as they say. Anyway, so I see the Picasso painting and I'm inspired to draw a stick figure because that's the extent of my abilities. Should it go to the Picasso estate that I've made this? I don't know. I'm oversimplifying it, and I don't know anything about that. But I do know that I was quite keen on the tool called Prettier, which you may know at this point. That in JavaScript, we have this tool that every time you save, you can set it up like that, and it will format the code for you nicely. Every time you save, it's going to format it the same way, and it's going to be great. It used to only work with JavaScript, now it works with SvelteKit, etc. It kind of lets me know that I may have a syntax error, so if it's not going to format, then of course nowadays I do get my local dev server also telling me, hey, you've got an error here. But back in the day, but even now, because my focus is on the left, on this side of the screen, it will tell me, it's Prettier that will tell me there's something wrong there, so something not working correctly, because if Prettier is not going to format it, there's a syntax error. And it used to be that Prettier didn't exist, and it started being an experimental project. And I was early on in the camp of bringing in Prettier in the company I worked on and the later companies I went to work on. And I needed to convince people that this is a good thing, that you shouldn't be spending your time telling people in code reviews that, hey, maybe you should have like a space there, like maybe this should be like on a different line. That was like 50% of my job back then, looking at code and saying there should be a line break, maybe separate those things, all of that, which wouldn't affect how the app would work. The JavaScript would work just the same, but it would make it harder for developers, I think, if you didn't resolve those comments, to be able to work on that app in the future. But anyway, if it's 50% of your job to resolve those comments, maybe you have some pushback. Maybe you don't want to eliminate that part of your job, even if it's not important. And even when Prettier became kind of the de facto tool, I did go to companies where they didn't have Prettier, and some very senior engineers had thoughts when I made like a 5-minute PR to format everything with Prettier and set it up forever. Because they were like, what is this? What is this tool? I don't understand. Why are you wasting your time as a senior engineer for something so trivial? But to their credit, they always came around to what I was telling them, that if there is something, some automated tool that can guaranteed work, fix a problem, make it go away for me, then I will take it every time. If at some point there is a way to go to the command line or just speak to the microphone and say, make an app that that picks the emoji of the day, and then it just does it for me, that's great, like done. I can go on and worry about solving things that can't be solved like that. I would think about what the database should be, what the API should be, how to monetize, how to market, I don't know, anything else. If something automated can do a good job on something, let the automated thing do it every time. And that brings us to ChatGPT. It is not quite there yet, but I do think that there was an example going around where they showed like a little napkin of a website where it was like, tell me a joke, and so a joke, and then it created the React code to have that site work. And it's not what I would have made, it's not what this engineer would have made at this point, but it did work, and it will get to that point, and I would welcome it with open arms. So I guess I'm trying to say, experiment with those tools, see the result, and if it reaches a point where it's guaranteed good, then go on, embrace it, and move on to problems that only you can solve, where the human mind and emotion and whatever we have there is uniquely equipped to solve. Move on to those. Free up your time as much as you can. And the more you use those tools and give your feedback, the better they're going to be, the faster. I do think if there are complaints about ChatGPT, that maybe it's a bit too wrong sometimes, it hallucinates some facts that aren't really facts, that are fake news, or maybe the code is bad. I think that's on us. I think the quality of websites we have has dropped. In regards to the content really, not the code that's on the back of it. I think there are too many ads everywhere. I think clickbait, not fact-based rumors, pass as news. So I don't know. I don't think it's ChatGPT fault that we've lowered the standards of the things that we click on and spend our days reading. Maybe we should do better on that. Okay, tangent over, time for fun code. So, to recap, I have this app running locally. I'm going to create a new route. We have the main route which just shows the emoji we've picked on the day, but also this about page where you can find a bit more about this project. I want an advice or ask or something like that, a route like that, where we'll have a form and the user will be able to click around and explicitly ask, X character, please let me know how to shoot a film based on this emoji. That's what I'm thinking. So I'll set up my timer and get going. Quickly scroll through Instagram. That's the addiction there. I'm putting in my focus noodles for 25 minutes. As I said, no more bracers for me. I do have the full set on for like a year and a half, but I am used to it now, and I think this is the new normal of the way I'll be speaking. Let's see. So, a new SvelteKit route. How does that work? We have the source directory, we have the routes directory, and then we need to create a folder that's going to reflect the path that we got going on here. So if I want it to be advice, I'm thinking advice or ask, let me know if you have a suggestion of which one we should actually be using. So if I want to go to the advice page, now I get a 404, but if I create a route, if I create a directory in the routes folder, that's called advice, and then I create a plus page.svelte, then immediately this should stop 404 and actually in the middle, in between the header and the footer, it will have the content, which is nothing. I add the content here, then you can see that it actually super fast applies. Did I actually say anything here? No. So that's how you create routes in SvelteKit. And I guess this should have a header called maybe theme advice. And we can open our about page for inspiration of what we've done here, of the classes to make it similarly big. So the premise here is ask famous fictional actors about how to work with the emoji of the day. Maybe some more classes we can have here. We can put all of this in a section for sure. And we can probably make this a bit bigger so it's more readable. Maybe instead of a div, we can make this form. So the idea here is that we'll have a select input where you can select your character. Your character ID. We'll have like a radio input or select something like that, where it's going to be the theme type, which is going to be, let's say, photography or film, short film or video game. Suggest your themes, please. And yeah, I guess just a GitHub Copilot suggestion. So interesting with ChatGPT, it's good that it will suggest the code. Sometimes it will suggest code that looks correct, but it's probably like it has an error that will be then very hard to debug if you've had it generate like 10,000 lines of code. In here, you don't need to specify that the button has a type of submit, because any button that is either form by default will be of submit type. So you don't need it. Will the site break without it? No, but it's not best practice. So that's something to worry about. That's something that someone that would be afraid of this technology would say. It's like, but actually, anyway, that's by the by. So yeah, just pick your character, pick the theme, click the button, and that's it. Then you'll be getting a response from that character. So let's go to our friends, Tailwind UI or Tailwind, and get some inspiration on a drop down. I guess we'll just do this, nothing too crazy. We won't do the JavaScript one. Maybe offline I will do it. Let's see what they have there. Ooh, they've got Tailwind forms, which I don't have. Will I have it? I don't know. We'll see how it looks. And I also like putting things inside the labels for accessibility. You don't need to do this. So now it looks like this. But I bet if I were to put select here, would work the same. And this is what we'll call it's kind of flipped out for some reason. So let's try again. Okay, happier now. Speaking of prettier, like with Svelte, like I don't like how it puts the carré underneath, but hey, no need to have an opinion on that. So that's gonna be the character ID. Select hood mask, and then we can say poly Stalker is also a Mass Effect character, I realize now. But anyway, we'll get these dynamically. And let's see which of the Tailwind classes we don't actually need. I guess we don't need that div either. We don't need this. Does this do anything? No. Does this do anything? No. Does this do anything? No. I'm surprised. It'll work, I guess. Focus ring. Sometimes Tailwind does flip out and not compile anything. Alright, so it looks like that was indeed the case. We'll fix it. And it looks like we need to re-specify what color we want this. If I look at my app CSS, I think, or Tailwind CSS, Tailwind config as well, I think I've specified an emphasis thingy that I have used for borders and stuff. Interesting. So what has a border here? Not select. Don't know what this. Good. Right, so it's the focus ring. So maybe that's emphasis. Specify this ring thing? I'm not sure. I think it goes into the OS purple color. It's maybe what they don't want with these stance that Tailwind people. Goes on the thing. Focus hover is a real thing. Good. And maybe it doesn't have a focus ring to begin with. Alright, looks kinda good to me. Do I need this W full? Yes, I do. Looks quite weird when it has the tab focus. The active that makes it like that. What could it be? Styling problems. Great way to start a stream. It's fun. And I guess it doesn't need a padding, right? It does have it. It is the correct color. And is this the active color? Maybe. This orange color, is it the glow? Is it the border? What is it? I don't know, but we need to keep going. Like, it's one of the things I'll find online. Be active is not a real thing. And the other question is, why doesn't it give like some proper padding for the arrow, for the carré? Does that do anything? Must be something. This one claims borderized. Worked. Clearly it doesn't. Even if we don't have it, it does the same thing. Oh well, we'll figure it out. The instant string. Yeah. of those things we'll figure out eventually. Maybe it's a Chrome thing. Should we add Tailwind CSS forms? Let's have a look at what it is. It applies that little reset, which may be the thing that we need. Not that many issues released at some point. Why not? Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. Oh my god. Way different. That's way different. Not really a reset, is it? Hey, that's the problem we're having. It says here you can actually customize padding on a select element. That's what we wanted. So I think before it was like going into the dark mode for this, which may be working a bit differently on Safari or on your phone or whatever, and now it just resets to be like this. But this does mean probably that we need to specify again that our text should be copy paste. That's what we want. Doesn't seem to be respected. Or maybe it is. It's the background that's not respected. Yeah, okay. Have surface 1, surface 2, and we want surface 2. I guess the text is going to be the same regardless. Right, now we're cooking. Can see the little glow here and it's pissing me off. Glow, focus. Outline says is it focus outline 0 maybe? Polygon be the outline. I think it's something on focus that we need to change. It's not. Is it on active? Geez, I didn't think it would be spending that much time on this. Let's have all of these and see the outline there. But then it becomes blue. Oh well. It's definitely something to do offline. But yeah, we've got the characters here. Then we need what type of content would you like to make? And then we'll need inspiration from the radio groups here. I don't know why they have this screen editor thing. But my question is going to be, what type of content would you like to make? What is this div ending? Don't like it. Move it. We need it. I prefer using margins and paddings at the bottom, not really the top. Oh, it's tons of inputs. Whoops. But they're radios, of course. Makes sense. So this is going to be our theme input, not this. And we don't want specific text color. We don't want a font medium. Like that. We don't even want the text SM. All right, we're getting there. And our problem is the color here. Now we want to say what type of content will you be making. It's going to be photo, short video, video game. Let me know if video game is 2 words or 1. maybe TikTok or something. Let's like this. All right, we're getting somewhere. This is a simple list indeed. You can click on the right and it just works. Is there anything else we'd want? This maybe. Can I have emphasis default and hover? Missed something here. Right, the ID. All right, so I can click any of them, goes there. How do I change the inner color? Is there a border? I don't think so. If I remove this, anything, maybe not. And I guess I to prefer having the margin be bottom and right. It's not block, no problem. Doesn't have the leading. But sense a little bit, but maybe it's fine. So no classes for the labels for now. Trying to remember which one this. All right, not too bad. And this we know we want to be like a nice button. Do I have buttons here? No buttons yet, unfortunately. And this also reminds me, I want another link. So in our header component, we have a link to the about page, the link to the advice page. And if I click around, I can actually go here and we'll make that button a bit nicer, this one. And we can even add the name of the character here to double check. All right, my phone did go off for 25 minutes. So I'll switch back to face mode for just a little moment. See if there is any activity in the chat. And we'll be back with getting the characters dynamically from our database. And maybe no, we need to get the characters from the database. We need to get the emoji of the day from the database as well. And I think we'll have time to actually submit the form data to the SvelteKit form action. We'll definitely have time today to do it, but will it be within the next 25 minutes? I think so. And we did create a new SvelteKit route and we're building the form. So we'll be building out the form a bit more and then switching around. To asking ChatGPT about this. Here it is on the big screen, how it looks. Little page, not bad. We'll make this button a bit more clickable. We'll get this data dynamically using a SvelteKit loader. And we'll get the emoji of the day, which should be this locally. You'll only be able to ask about the current emoji. We may change it in the future. And then we click the form, hit the SvelteKit form action, ask GPT how would they make a TikTok about that flag? How would Tally make a TikTok about that flag? Or whoever we select. And then store that response so we don't need to pay OpenAI money every time we use ChatGPT. We'll have it stored the response in our database and just retrieve that, which should be fun to do as well. All right, so 25 more minutes on the clock. Let's get to it. Should I make this button more clickable? Slightly. I am tempted to do it, but I will just ask TechCat how we're doing the big button there. So relative block, full width, rounded, gradient from the primary color to the other primary color, some padding, big text, the light, thin font, fair enough. The white text all the time, underlines, need that, not sure. Shadow, shadow. In our tailwind config file, do we have shadows? Low, mid, high. Okay, so we can go from shadow low, shadow mid, I guess. And this is to make the button bouncy. That's not the button I wanted to change. This is the button I wanted. Alright. Looks kinda decent, to be honest. It glows. It's very 3D. Wow. I'm impressed with myself. And let's see, I don't need. This I need. This I don't need. think you can just about see like a little shadow there. You may be able to hear in the background a lovely fiance is waking up, our lovely puppy. Our puppy is growing, thanks for asking. She is wonderful. So this little active top -1 is for the most important thing about buttons. You need to make them bouncy, so every time I click it you can see it just about bounces. It just about bounces. Alright, so I think let's add some margin here. Here even. Why did I make this a label again? Should it be a label? Thank you, TechieCat, for this. So the Tailwind UI radio groups, yeah, they do have 2 labels, but this one doesn't have a class. Huh. And if I click here, what happens? It selects this. So maybe I don't actually want this. Interesting. I guess it selects the first input, which for accessibility may not be the best thing. But then is it just a random label? It's not about this field set? Don't really know. So I think this should be a label for nothing specifically. This should be a div. Then this complains. Yeah, it should be associated for a control. That's what I was afraid of. But let's keep it like we had it. Alright, so this looks kinda nice. We have different size text. Is this big enough, the text? Maybe. Okay. It's looking nice. We made the button, it's very clickable, glows nicely. What more could we ask for? Just look nice on light mode. I think so. I think it looks good. So we can we can get these characters dynamically. Space data. So for any route we can have a plus page.ts or a plus page.server.ts, which will be what loads data for it. And I'm gonna copy the server file for the about page for inspiration. And this will get created shortly. Its meta would be ask them advice, but we'll also be doing a few more things. So we want to return all the available characters here. We can multi API. That guy was cancelled. And we actually have all the characters in our Supabase database. So just put this here. In my local database, I have fewer characters than I have in production, but we still have quite a few, and we want to get them dynamically in our code. And to do that, we can get expression from the main load method. We get our Supabase database from the locals, and then we get from the characters table, I guess, we'll get everything about them. We'll see. So this method will have a locals, and the locals will have a Supabase, and we can say that from the characters table I want to select, and let's select the name and title, and then we'll return this, and our UI will have it available. So here, instead of hard coding some options, we'll be using the data that we have. But to use the data, we can actually, I'm gonna copy this whole block. In the main page, we're using some page data as well. That's why I'm copying from there. So in our advice, plus page.svelte, we'll have a JavaScript block, a script block that's actually going to be TypeScript, and we're going to use this data. We know that it's going to have theme data, session, default meta from the layout, but also meta from the method we just created, the page server TS for the advice page, and the characters here typed immediately. This is nice. So it's here, we want to say each data characters as character correctly. Why is this unknown? Maybe this has failed. I guess if this fails, do we throw an error message? What does SvelteKit say about this? Let's do this. So infinite characters throw error, and there's a helper from Svelte. Can actually bring it in. A little bit from here. What if it's 500 error? Because it is going to be an unexpected error. Oh well. So if this thing, should I wait it? I guess so. So wait it. Let's see that if it doesn't have. Ah, of course, it's the data. Ugh. Like. So this is the character's result. So we can say character result error. This, Characters are going to be characters result data. So thank you, TypeScript, for reminding me this. Now, this is going to be what we want, the thing that has ID, name, it's string. The value is going to be this. Name is going to be this. And also the title here. The moment I save, this option should disappear and we should have the actual dynamic characters we have in the database. Let's see it happen. Great. So we have all of them here. Great. We're selecting them nicely. The type of content we'll be making. This could also come from the backend, I guess. And then we don't need to repeat this. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, why not? Advisable themes. It's gonna be an array again. It's gonna have ID. I guess that's about it. And we can return this. Current advisable themes to not have it confused with the light and dark mode theme. Cute. And when we have it as data, it's kind of cool because it means that if I do make a change about what it is going to be, what the classes are going to be, how this look like, I don't need to go into 3 places and do it like I did before. Like a mug I would add. Be clever about this. So it's data themes, but it's actually advisable themes as content theme. Let's see. Yeah. Let's just say theme. It's in here, it's fine. The ID is gonna be theme ID. For theme ID, and then it is going to be theme name, and the autocomplete has successfully stolen the correct bits. It's clever of it. So it should look kind of the same, but can I tell Tailwind to do like the title case? I think it's capital S, which is kind of confusing then. because I imagine capitalize capitalizes every letter, but I guess that's uppercase. So this is what we want. Great, looks like this. All good. And I also did that not just to have less HTML, but I have to manually write, to also add the film one. Can add more options. And I can of course say that this select required and like one of those is required. Do I do it on all of them? Yeah, that's fine. So we'll select one of them, native HTML error messages, which is always handy. It's going to be in the user's preferred language and match their browser, whether it's Chrome or Firefox or whatever. And now we'll submit this to the backend. So I think our form is ready and we need to pass it here, but I guess we haven't really done any of the form actions stuff. So this form, for SvelteKit magic to happen, we need it to be a post. Submit the data via post. And we don't need to have the action attribute and specify a specific action, because in this case we'll only have the one form, so just the default action will do. But on the back end, on our server page we were writing, we'll be exporting an actions object, which will be satisfying the action type. So back in our page server, new thing, export actions, bring this in, types here, and I will switch to the satisfy syntax, because since the last stream I have learned that this will validate whether this thing satisfies this method, but won't cast this as a page server load. Page server load may have more things than this, so it's probably better to use the satisfies way to type it instead of typing it inline as before. So similarly, when it satisfies actions, it will give you the type safety of this should be the object that SvelteKit wants, but it's not going to have anything that action should have. I'll explain it better in the future, I'm sure. But the default action here is I guess the event is going to have form data, I'm sure. So let's log that to start with. See what we got. We have a character and we have a theme. Right, even. And we can console log form data. And see what we got. So form validation, how to make a TikTok, what does Joker think about this? We ask, and then we get the log. Theme is an object. Oof, why? Theme is an object. just open this. So if we try again, undefined. Whoops. Why? Should be ID, should not value, should be ID, not value. Right, so this character asked them how to make a TikTok, and we could immediately add the character name or whatever here, but I think it's better to tie it to a unique ID so the user cannot be naughty. Joker Jake, how appropriate that I'm asking Joker for inspiration as well. Hello in the chat. And yeah, I do not like tutorials that are like follow along with me and check out this project that has like 5 million lines of code and then copy paste this and now it works, you did it. So I hope you are along for the ride and you'll see that everything we've have so far, we've shown on stream, we've shown somewhere. So you should know how to do it. We have gone through it together, it's real. So I really appreciate this comment. Thanks. All right. So Joker, we want to ask him about how to make a TikTok about this, and using the character ID prevents the user from being too naughty about this. So they can't like edit this and say, "Oh, I want to ask." I'm not going to say the name I follow, but a boy jumped the video game awards and mentioned that name and got some. Anyways, character IDs, they won't really know what their IDs are here in our database. I guess we're exposing that information if we do it there. Security risks everywhere, but I think it's less secure to just allow people to edit this and say ask anything you've not curated. If you have the IDs, they have to match with what you have on the backend. So you'll only have users asking characters you have in the database about it. Cool. Now, the fun part. Let's ask GPT about this. And for our main page, we did this last stream. Let's have a look again how that works. In our server, what we do is we show the emoji of the day along with the quote that's already produced in the database here, but in our pick method that runs on a cron, Vercel hits this every day to make a new pick. It will ask GPT by using the OpenAI client we've created with the model of GPT 3.5 Turbo. It will tell it, a system message, you are this character from this franchise, to clarify in case you have like Joker from Persona 5 and Joker from Mass Effect and Joker from Batman and Joker Jake. We tell them you are Joker from Batman. And the user is asking, the emoji of the day is whatever the emoji of the day is, and how does it inspire you? We'll do something similar now. We'll be saying that how would you make a film or TikTok or whatever inspired by this emoji. So we'll be using the first response again. So we can just copy this wholesale really from last week and go to our server and say that here we can bring in our OpenAI library in the server directory, which ensures that it's not going to be leaked to the client. We won't accidentally use it on the client. And I guess we need to get a character result again, get Supabase from the locals, And from the characters table, select what's the name and font size, which should be single, and we want to equal the ID to be the character ID we got from here. And we may want to throw an error if things don't go as planned. So if character result error, use the fail helper method from SvelteKit here. And I guess not have any methods. Have error. I do this. It may mean that the user tried to do something naughty, or we just deleted that character by the time they submitted the form. But if we do, we can tell ChatGPT, or I guess for handiness, let's do it the same way. Say that our character is gonna be the character result data. Cool. And you are that character from that franchise, and the prompt this time would be we can see the same thing, that the emoji of the day is this. How would you make a film, TikTok, whatever, with a theme of this? But what's the random emoji gonna be? So we should have been returning this as data before. Oops. So we'll also want to get an emoji ID, I guess. And maybe have it as a hidden input here. And value is going to be alpha. And similarly to this, I'm gonna have an emoji result. And load from emoji. And just get the character. For the ID is the emoji ID. We'll find emoji with ID, emoji ID. Cool. And we can make these two operations in parallel. By doing a promise.all here and putting these two in an array. But then this will be an array. Oops, I missed. Right, so these two database calls will happen in parallel. Should be fast enough. It's backend to backend. And emoji is going to be emoji result data. And then we can use it here. Emoji. Turn on this console log. But we want that emoji to appear. Which means that we need to load it. And maybe similarly, we'll be doing a promise all to have those calls happen in parallel. Oh, wait. I must get the emoji of the day. That's the idea, I guess. But it's not from the emojis table, it's actually from the pics table. Let's copy this, all of this. So from the pics table, which stores all our daily pics, we don't want any of that, we just want the code of the emoji. And that reminds me that what we actually have is the emoji code, not the emoji ID. Yeah, I think that's it. Get the code. And the character, of course. We want the emoji character. Similarly, just in case. No, we just want the code. That's correct. Just want the code. What's the result? And can say emoji result error, unable to load emoji of the day. Then return it. All right, so in this page, you can say data emoji. emojis. We do want the character. Whoops. So emoji result. It's gonna have emojis and here the emoji is. So this is something that I hope Supabase fixes at some point. All the TypeScript stuff they're doing with the automatic TypeScript type generation is awesome, but you can define some columns in the database to be array columns. So you can have a column have emoji ID, or it can have multiple emoji IDs. And that, I think, is what leads it to say that this can be just a single emoji or many emojis. And that's not what I want. This is like one pic has one emoji. It's a one-to-one relationship. And because it doesn't know that, and it says, maybe this column is an array column, then it may have many. It may be a one-to-many relationship. I need to do this check every time, which I'd rather not do. Why do more when you can do less? Alright, so now this thing should always be this thing that has a code and a character. An object that has a code and a character, which means we can use the character here, and we can use the value here. No. That emoji code. You can see the emoji here. Cool. So back on the server, back on the UI, I did mention that I want this hidden input have a name of emoji code. And on the server, emoji code is what we get. Did I spell it correctly? Yes. So where I actually say emoji ID, I meant emoji code. No, but this should be fine. We should have an emoji here finally. And we should be able to ask OpenAI about this. And then we want to return this back as JSON, I assume. So instead of returning success true, what can we return? We will be enhancing the form shortly. But can we return like anything, I guess? Is there a return JSON? I'm gonna assume that you are able to return JSON. And I think that's gonna be it. If we look at our other page, at our pick thingy, content is this. No, it's the first response choice. Message. Content. Ugh. Right. So some question marks here. So we may want to fail. Does it ever return errors here? Not. Not get character to speak. Maybe that'd be a fun thing to say. All right, so this should be working. We'll be asking for a drum roll soon enough. What else can we do? Let's have a look at actions again. So this will be typed for us. And I think you can get more than the success message. We'll find out, I guess. And data has quite a few things. Cool. Maybe we can also return a success through. What was the user message? That's the answer, I guess. With a theme of I'll call this content type soon enough. But we'll try to see this working first. These things must have large text everywhere. And say form. All right. I think it's time for a drum roll. Ba-ba-da-ba-bum. Use font light elsewhere. Then doesn't do anything. Fair enough. All right, time to see if this worked. Let's ask Joker how would they make a TikTok about Paraguay? Yeah, Paraguay. So, Joker, how would you make a TikTok about Paraguay? Maybe it won't. It was definitely too fast. So I don't think it hit the server this time. Let's try it again. Bad request, great. 400. We can work with this. Oh, the response was the whole page. That makes no sense. Emoji code, character ID, and theme. That looks correct. And the default action we do get here: emoji code, character ID, and theme. We'll make it here. The classic debugging. Okay, good. Of course, this should be code. Come on, Johnny. Come on, get it together. Ask again. Oh, jeez. Oh, it's the time of silly errors, clearly. Okay, promising. Takes a while, so we must be asking OpenAI for something. Wow, that's a big response. So, Joker, how would you make a TikTok with a theme of Paraguay emoji? As Joker, I would create a TikTok video that has a theme of Paraguay in a mischievous and unpredictable way, just like my character. First, I would dress up in my trademark purple suit and clown makeup. Then, I would start the TikTok video by dancing to a popular Paraguayan song while holding up a flag of Paraguay. As the beat drops, I would start doing unexpected and outrageous dance moves and match perfectly with the rhythm of the song. To add some fun and unpredictability, I would suddenly switch to a different song from a different genre, but still keep the Paraguayan flag waving in the background. As the video progresses, I would keep switching between different dance styles and songs, making my audience wonder what's coming next. Finally, I would end the video with a signature Joker move and a big laugh. The video would capture attention, spread some joy, and leave the viewers with a positive and unforgettable impression of Paraguay. That's awesome! Alright. Mobile friendly as well, yet responsive. Alright. Cool. Cool. Alright, I can't believe that worked, but it was more fun than I'd have hoped, I would say. So UI stuff. Copy this just to have it. And these cards, we can make them better. And put this at the top as well. So I guess the form doesn't need the margin. Sweet. I wonder if I have the data of the form available every time I click around or only at the end. Like now, do I have access to this? Can I say ask Carousel to make a TikTok about this? But yeah, styling aside, like we should denote this, that this is the user, and then have Joker's face or something show up here, and denote that this is the actual answer. But I think that's pretty cool. And it does count as passing our data from data to ChatGPT and asking our fictional characters. We could do a few more things like disabling this button while waiting for the response, denoting the user that we're loading, having a spinner or something. But that's by the by. And I think what we'll be doing next is persist this response to Supabase. But will we actually get to it here? I think so. I think so. Let me just do a little break, get a little sip of coffee. I always tell when I'm thinking because my hair becomes a bit jumpier. It's like, and the bonus ones would be to see previous emojis and stuff like that. But I do think it would be cool to do the Supabase stuff first. It would mean, as you can see, every time we ask OpenAI, it does take a while. I cannot share my screen when in this mode. Every time we ask OpenAI, we click the button, it does take a while. It may take like, a few minutes to get the response back. While if we have it on our database, that should be almost instantaneous. Much faster than minutes, for sure. It should be seconds, at the worst, sub-seconds. So we want to do that. How would we do it? Currently, we have 4 tables: characters, emojis, pics, and quotes. And maybe we can have like an advice table, which would be similar to the quote table. The advice will be about a specific emoji code from a specific character. Would still have like a unique ID, I guess, and I created that timestamp. And then it will have the answer. So it should also have the theme. Should we call it like a theme? Content type? Maybe content type is the way to do it. And then we'll be able to check with our database first. Do you have an answer already? Do you have advice for this character? Do you have advice for this emoji by this character for this content type? And if so, just load it up from the database, use that one immediately. If not, ask OpenAI about it. How does that sound? I think that sounds good. I think that sounds great. So that's what we'll do. We'll do it now. So instead of theme, let's call this content types. And they'll just be strings, let's face it. How would X make content about? Have a meta description as well, or do we not have it? We'll have it later. Right, so instead of theme, I want to call this content type. Call it type here. Content type. And then still some apostrophe characters here. All right. Most of the day is this. Blah blah blah. We say theme elsewhere here. So the question is a bit similar, but I guess that's just to signify to the user what we're asking. Don't know if we need it. In any case, the refactor of the content type is done for the server side. But here, Right, we're back. No confusion about themes. Advice. Content creation advice. And maybe if this becomes an app and you sign up for subscription, because everything has a subscription, you can actually ask about any emoji. Why not? So let's ask Scrooge how they'd make a film about this. Scrooge would be a good one because he's a worldwide traveler. How would you make a null? How would you make a null? Oh, Johnny. Oh, Johnny. You messed it up. So how would Scrooge make a null? The theme of Paraguay, filling it up with coins from the country such as Paraguayan Guarani coins. Scrooge would know that. And backgrounds featuring images of Paraguayan landmarks and historic figures. Additionally, I would include items representing the country's culture, such as a miniature harp, which is a traditional Paraguayan musical instrument, and mate caps with bombillas, which are widely used in Paraguay for drinking yerba mate. Mate? Ah, it's mate, of course, I've had that. Finally, I would add a small flag of Paraguay on top of the null. Complete the theme. So Scrooge tried to work with me here, despite my error. Content type here. That was the problem, I forgot to change this. So any theme, no more themes remaining here. We should be good to go. And I can hear my lovely puppy getting a bit agitated, so we may be calling it quite soon after all. But the idea is... Whoa. Here we'll create a new table. We'll call it the advice table. Links characters to... Whoa. I may need to stop because I hear my puppy struggling. Give me one moment. Right, I'm back. As you know, as you may know, puppies need constant attention, even when you're intentionally ignoring them to teach them good manners. You need to always be aware of them and where they are, at which state they are. And I think my lovely puppy did need to go to the toilet. No accidents in the house yet, but she was a bit agitated and I needed to kind of cuddle her and get her to my fiance, pass her along for a nice walk. She's been doing very well potty training, thanks for asking. But yeah, she just needed to be handled. So, where were we? We were creating an advice table which will link characters to advice about specific themes. Advice on how to create content. Specific emojis. It will have an ID which I always want it to be a unique ID, which I always want to default to a v4 ID. Created that. Can't say we don't really care about it, but that's fine. And then I'm gonna link to the emojis table on the code. It's gonna be about a specific emoji. It's code. We're gonna link to a character. We're gonna link to a character. And these cannot be nullable. And I'm thinking about the theme. Do we need to have like a themes table and then you have to link it to that and then you change the theme and blah, 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 all of that? Not sure. I think I'll just create a table here called content type. And what is it gonna be? I think just a text. I think just text. And cannot be nullable. Should be able to index it though. So should it be something else? I'm not sure. Still. There is no enum either. Alright, I'm not gonna create it for now. Let's create this table here. Let's create a content types table. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about this of we'll have so many records. How fast will our database be to query? That's the question. So, and maybe this doesn't even have an ID. It's just a text thingy. It has a name. Maybe that's the ID, I guess. Can have a created ad, why not? But that's it, nothing else. And then we can make our advice table, edit that one, another column. That's gonna hit our content types, the ID, call it type. Not nullable. and save. And let's say that our content types are or maybe do it via SQL, because what we're gonna do is also seed that data as well. I've created a seed file for some characters and some emojis. So if you start the project, if you go to GitHub and start this project, you'll have something to get working with your local database. So we should do the same for the content types. And the content types, just insert IDs, and we'll make them so they have like an order. Doesn't really matter. What did we actually add here? We said photo, TikTok, film, video game. So we can add this to a seed file. To ask for advice on. But then, if we have this, then we can actually load the content types from there. So we can do yet another call. And select ID, no limit, no order, put them all. And types result. Here, all this error handling takes a lot of space, but what can I do? And we want to remove this. And here for the content types, we want to use the content types result data, which should always be an array. Maybe map its ID out. So this thing should be full of things that have IDs. And we've awaited it here. So it should be fine. Ah, did I run this? I didn't. Now we ran it. We have run it. And in our advice column, we have nothing, but in our content types, we have these things. So now we should be getting the content types eventually. Maybe I kill and restart a new server because this is cast. Maybe not. Maybe not. So wait a minute. Content types. We mapped this, we returned the ID out of it. Let's do some console log debugging here. Empty. Of course, it's because of the classic problem that these tables get created with no RLS policies. Oh dear. So both of those tables do need RLS policies. The content types, we want to say that everyone can read it, enable read for all. Save. And for our advice thingy, again, enable read for all. Classic problem that catches me out all the time. And now we should get the content types from the database, which does have the thing of you can actually update these things. And then without the code deployment, you have more. So we're getting somewhere. Hopefully I didn't miss too much by showing the desktop view. But here I was debugging this. The important thing was that every time you create a new table, don't forget RLS is great because it means less code in your source code, and better security because it depends on rules that you define in your database that are harder to break and more consistent. But by default, Supabase, when you have enabled RLS, there are no rules, they don't add any rules, which makes sense. But you have to remember to add the new policy to say, I want everyone to read this, which for most things you do want everyone to be able to read, but not for all things. So be careful. In any case, if you don't get data back, that's probably the problem. You forgot to add a rule for anonymous users for everyone to be able to access this. Alright, that's by the by. We got this back, but it is from the database. And my puppy's happy and back. But how about these JavaScript puppies that we got here? We have the new table on content types. Great. All for having an advice table to be able to store responses based on specific emoji codes, specific character IDs, specific types. Let's do that. So now, when we submit this form, first we want to check if we have that combination of answers. So we save on money, we don't hit OpenAI, which is also slow. We save time and money, which is like a double huge win, by actually getting from our database whether we have this. And I guess we could even do it at the same time. Or maybe not, let's see. So advice result. Let's await selecting from the advice. Limit one single. But what we want to do is check that. How can you do multiple equals? We do want to select the answer, I guess. We didn't create an answer column here. So let's edit this table. We can call it content or answer, not accessor. Call it content. It cannot be nullable. And we want to select the content. And we want to say let's double check, how do you do like multiple equals? Do you just chain them? Filters. Do you just chain dot equal? Maybe. I guess. Doesn't actually show, but hey. So select star and say that we want character ID to be character ID. We want emoji code to be emoji code. And we want type to be content type. These three things. Those are all our columns: emoji code, character ID, and type. And it's a maybe single, maybe we have a response, maybe not. And we can actually do it in parallel, I guess. And we may also want to check from content types that the ID is the content type. So they're not adding like a content type that we haven't accounted for. All right, quite a lot of things here. Two of the same error here. I wonder if I wanted something else. Or did I preemptively do this? Will just be returning an error here? I think so. Because I do include the character. Cool. So the thing so far, even though we're doing this extra query, should be the same. But we want to check if if you have stored something here, then we want to return advice result data content. Indeed, it's gonna be the answer. And maybe I have the short question here that you can repeat here in any case. So if we have it in the database, if this hits, if we find a record from here, we should be getting it from the database. It should be fast. If not, we do the dance with OpenAI, and before returning, we want to persist the response. So one final operation here. We want to say that do we want to await it? Probably. And what do we want to insert? We want to insert emoji code is this, character ID is this, type is this, content is, we can make this be answer. We can say if no answer, then we fail. Yes answer, and we use it here, and we use it here. And emoji code, character ID, type, and content. Let's code, character ID, type, and content. Should be all good. And we don't need to get anything back. We just persist it. The next time we're gonna get it. So I believe this may be it, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen. And let's see if it works. This time, let's ask Morgana how they make a photo. Video game. Let's see. So I'm clicking, this should have some user signal that we're loading and we haven't failed. In fact, I don't know if we failed. Seems like we haven't, but wow. So Morgana, how would you make a video game with a theme of Paraguay flag? As Morgana, I would create a video game with a theme of Paraguay called The Quest for Yerba Mate. The game would follow a group of adventurers, including Morgana, as they journey through the vast and diverse landscapes of Paraguay, seeking out the best yerba mate, a popular South American tea in the world. I've had that, not in Paraguay, but close enough. Players would face challenges such as navigating treacherous jungle terrain, battling fierce animals, and interacting with the colorful and diverse people of Paraguay to gain knowledge and resources. Along the way, they would learn about the rich cultural and historical significance of yerba mate in Paraguay. The game would feature stunning visuals of Paraguay's natural landscapes and diverse cultural traditions, as well as a robust crafting system where players would craft their own custom blend of yerba mate. With engaging gameplay, rich storytelling, and a celebration of Paraguayan culture, the quest for yerba mate would be a unique and exciting video game experience. Morgana, well done. You definitely know what's up. Now the question is, if maybe a different user goes to this page and asks Morgana again for a film, do we manage to retrieve it from the database and return the same response without paying OpenAI even more money? Let's see. It's taking a while, so I think the answer is going to be no. Oh well, we've done something good. So what have we done? Let's look at the advice table. Of course, we cannot write here because of RLS yet again. Oh, Johnny. So in order to possess this, I'm not gonna do the RLS thing. I am going to use in this file that no user can directly use the other Supabase client that we have, which we do use for picking, for example, the emoji of the day. So instead of the one we always put on the locals, I'm going to bring in the Supabase service client and use that to do the insert here. And I think this time it's going to work. So let's ask Tally how they do a photo about Paraguay. And it's going to take a while. While this happens, Supabase service client has super admin privileges, so they can do anything they want with the database. So it should result into a record being written this time. And Tally says, as Tally from Mass Effect, I would create a photo with a theme of Paraguay flag by taking a selfie with wearing a Paraguayan soccer jersey with the country's flag painted on my cheeks, on the suit cheeks. Okay, I would hold up a small Paraguayan flag, so my support for the country and their soccer team. In the background, I would try to find a colorful mural of or street art with Paraguay's landmarks and cultural references. I'd also try to capture the essence of the country's culture and traditions by surrounding myself with traditional crafts, textiles, or music instruments. Finally, I would add the Paraguayan flag emoji as a caption to the photo and share it on my social media accounts to celebrate Paraguay's culture and connect with fellow fans. You know, Tally is tweeting up a storm whenever something bad happens in the world. But she's not a slacktivist, she's an actual proper activist. So I'm not gonna check in the database and spoil it for us. Will this cost me money and time or not? Let's ask Tally again. How would you make a photo about Paraguayan flag emoji? Oh no, it's taking a while again. Not. Yeah, it's a different response, unfortunately. So something is iffy here. So let's see, our advice thing. It does have 2 records. So we did get 2 responses. So why are we not picking this up? So I didn't like this response that I just read. So let's just delete it. Chink. But something must have happened, because this should have resulted in some data. So the advice result, we said we want the emoji code to be emoji code. And this problem is because I forgot to generate types here. Not that you can't. here. So when I updated the table, I should have generated TypeScript types, and I think this would have meant that TypeScript would have stopped me from saying that this is emoji code. I guess not. Oh well. But now... doesn't like this. Great. And these things that they may be null. So we can do a quick check earlier. You need to provide all of emoji code, character ID, Easy Games from the Sand. Hello, I'm doing well. We're trying to ask some famous fictional characters how they'd make a film or a photo or a TikTok or a video game based on a particular emoji, the emoji of the day, which we created. We had an app, we made an app that selects this every day on the previous stream. And here, if you don't have an emoji code, don't have a character ID, or maybe, sorry, if type of emoji code is not string, or type of character ID is not string, or type of content type is not string, then make this error, and I think that should make TypeScript happy here in the end, where we're doing the insert. And now I'm hoping that when I ask Tally again how they'd make a photo about Paraguay, we'd get it from the database, and indeed we do. You can see that this time it was instant because we fetched the record from the database. And that's quite great. What remains would be to raise a PR and deploy, which I will do, and try to bring my puppy again and stream. I think my puppy is hungry at this point. It's not about taking her out for yet another walk. But I think we've done enough here. We haven't left any console logs, indeed. So let's see. We also need to diff the database to create our new tables, the migration. So add, create, advice, and types. So this would create a new migration for us based on all the things we did, the tuning tables, the RLS policies, all of that. It should create it for us so we can push the changes to our database. Which may work, we will see. So let's add this feature, add page to ask content advice from fictional characters using OpenAI and SvelteKit forms and Tailwind and Supabase, all the good things. So with that, I will go back to the intermission, but here not, I'll be right back. Here we are again. This time I have a lovely pup in my hands. Here she is. She's getting so much bigger. It's quite amazing. And she's quite grumbling. Last time she wanted to eat the microphone, but today she's not that interested. She wants food. She wants more stuff. But what I'll be doing after the stream will be creating a PR. Maybe we can actually create it now. It's my left hand, right hand is busy. Compare pull request. It's gonna create a preview deployment where people can comment on even, but I think it should be working. I will push the database changes that we did, the schema changes there, and shortly after the stream, you should be able to play around with the app and see how it works. I hope you had fun today. I certainly did. But with this lovely pup, like magnet, I will bid you adieu. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next week. If you want to keep going with this app, I think there is still lots more to do. Have a look at the description. There are links for most of the things we've shown today and potential next steps on where we can take this further. If there is nothing more, hope you'll have a lovely rest of Friday and an amazing weekend. Bye bye.